Last year, Nigeria witnessed the most devastating floods in a decade, which caused more than 600 deaths with nearly 1.3 million displaced. Heavy rains combined with poor urban planning made parts of the country more susceptible to flooding. This, among other issues, will be our focus on this week's edition of Green Angle, which also highlights activities that shaped 2022. Welcome. I am Esther Makwariola. It was a difficult period for many in 33 out of 36 states in the country, battling with the devastation of the worst flooding in a decade. The floods had been attributed to above-average rainfall and an overflowing dam in neighboring Cameroon. But the situation was also made worse by poor drainage infrastructure.
Weeks after the flooding began, the situation seems to have worsened as houses and roads in various communities across Bayelsa State are now completely submerged. Some locals have been forced to set up makeshift camps on bridges and highways to escape the ever-increasing water. They decry the non-availability of governmental aid and call for immediate evacuation to higher grounds.
Flood is still coming up. This place you see now is just a temporary habitation of people, a temporary place for the people to occupy. But the flood is still coming up and we don't know where to run to. So we need total evacuation of our people from this very place they are now.
Look at how men and women, children are suffering. There's nowhere we can even stay at this moment. No relief materials. Look at all crops have been damaged and all that. So we need the aid of government. Then give us a settlement where we can settle and be free from this flood.
In Yenagoa Metropolis, a 16-year-old boy has lost his life to the surging flood. Other residents complain of shelter and food as their houses and shops have also been flooded.
We are staying outside. We slept here yesterday, and at least we will sleep here today again. But if government will come to our aid, at least I believe that we also want to sleep.
Critical of the state and federal government's preparations before the flood, renowned environmentalist Maurice Alagua calls for immediate intervention to ameliorate the plight of the people.
I think the state government needs to do more in terms of environmental impact assessment and go into the different methods depending on the environment to tackle this issue.
With the number of farmlands, businesses and manpower lost so far, fear looms over the severe hardship ahead if the situation is not properly managed.
At least 7 states have been hit by floods this year. This is the worst after 2012 when floodwaters killed 363 people and displaced more than 2 million people. Jigawa, Kogi, Anambra, Katsina, Adamawa, Nasarawa and Bayelsa states are currently dealing with the effects of the floodwaters that have forced them out of their homes. In Jigawa state alone, the death toll is more than 100, 17 in Anambra and 6 in Kogi. Already the rising water levels have displaced more than 1.4 million people across the country. The situation in Kogi is also there. Before the flood waters started to recede, a portion of the Abuja-Lokoja highway was completely cut off, leaving passengers and motorists stranded for days. The flood water has taken its toll on the road. This is the chaos on the Abuja-Lokoja highway. Man-hour is lost daily as travelers ply this strategic link road between the north and the south in Lokoja. Inside Lokoja, the capital of Kogi State, the devastation caused by torrential rain has led to the destruction of property, farmland and livelihood. Saadu Halilu takes us on a canoe to what used to be his home. He lived here with his wife and 3 children. When the flood hit, he could not save most of his property, but he was lucky to escape with his family from the surging waters. He paddled through water on what used to be dry land, a pathway to his house.
The flood waters began to rise suddenly. We were lucky. Some of us know how to swim. That is why we did not get drowned.
The sight of houses submerged, livelihood destroyed, and the stories of affected residents around here gives one a clear picture of the devastation. Halilu is just one out of the 1.4 million Nigerians directly dealing with the devastating effects of flood. His house is one of the 90,000 homes across the country, either partially destroyed or completely destroyed. He now has to stay in this makeshift ramshackle until the flood waters recede, and it is safe for him and his family to return home. Mohammed Chukura is from a predominantly fishing family. He was appointed as the custodian of the water, Serikin Ruwa. He sits outside his house every day and looks at the river that was once his source of livelihood, but has now overflowed its banks and destroyed property. He has a rather interesting perspective on the devastation. He believes the flood is a consequence of bad human behavior, and it is nature's way to pay back.
But this thing that happened to us now, we know it's from God, and we believe in God. We can't say water is angry with human being. No, it's God. It's our hand that fetched all this wahala, because we are a sinner.
The flood was not unexpected. There have been several flood warnings issued by the government and other relevant agencies, but affected communities are always not prepared when the flood waters come into their homes.
We release warnings early, but people don't heed to that warning.
In this camp, the lack of potable water, good sanitation and hygiene put the internally displaced persons here at risk of contracting communicable diseases. Nafisa delivered a baby girl after she fled her home with her family to seek shelter in this camp packed with hundreds of displaced persons. 2 other women in this camp have also been put to bed and have to raise their newborns in the most uncomfortable situation.
I will so do my best to give my daughter a good life. The condition here is not conducive. We are really suffering. It was a painful experience when I had to run away with my pregnancy. Thank God for safe delivery.
In this temporary camp, the displaced persons are united by circumstance. They cohabit peacefully and have even become fond of themselves. They hope the flood waters will completely recede, but they know that life after the flood will be tough. The government is warning again that the worst is not yet over. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management says more states are still at risk and advised them to heed the early flood alerts.
There was enough warning and information about the 2022 flood. Unfortunately, this is where we are. It appears that this warning was not heeded to.
The federal government is also concerned about the impact of this flood on food security, as more than 76,000 hectares of farmland have been partially destroyed, while about 70,000 hectares of farmland are completely destroyed across the country.